Hi everybody, welcome to a brand new Choose Your Own Adventure series that I'm doing. It's been a while since I've done one of these. About a year, I think about a year. So welcome back. It's been a while. We're gonna be reading Heart of the House today by Nisa Campbell. So we're gonna start off with a prologue here, a bedtime story. First, I just want to look at these achievements quick. Holy shit! So there's a lot to go through here. And then we have our stats, which of course we haven't started yet, so. Okay, cool. So, a bedtime story. You were only a child when you saw your first spirit. You watched from the window as the lamplighter made his way up the street outside your uncle's house. Each flare of green light seemed like magic. It must have been the first time you saw the street lit up at night. You were so entranced that you barely noticed the presence at your shoulder. A shimmering man who had come to watch with you. He looked like your papa, but that didn't frighten you as much as it should have. You were too young to know what death meant. He didn't come to you often, but sometimes you'd catch a light at the corner of your eye. When you looked, he'd be there watching. Quiet and still, but always watching. You got used to his presence, adapting as children so easily do. Then came the day your uncle walked in and saw him. After that, it was chaos and confusion, salt across the windowsills, charms to hide under your pillows, chalk marks above your door. Only then did your uncle tell you the truth. Your papa was lost you forever, his vengeful spirit ushered through an ether into the world of the dead. No one who crossed over could ever come back, no more than you could cross over while still alive. So this creature, this thing that took on his aspect, it could only be there to harm you. Okay, so we have 4 choices here. I was still so sure the spirit must be my papa. The very idea filled me with terror. I knew that the spirit wouldn't harm me, even if it wasn't papa. And spirits? I thought that was the most foolish idea. So I think one of these choices, or whichever one we choose, is really going to define who we become throughout the story. Because we are children here, or we are a kid. So this, I feel like, I don't want to go with this one. Spirits, I thought was the most foolish idea. So this, I don't believe in them. I knew the spirit wouldn't harm me even if it wasn't papa. I feel like this, yeah, just being brave and courageous, I guess. Nothing's scaring you. You told your uncle the spirit was your friend. You darted to the window and dashed the salt from the sill, but he patiently replaced it. He explained that even the most well-intentioned spirits could harm the living, particularly you, with your family's sensitivities. He told you the sight was a gift passed down through your family, but you didn't want any gifts. You wanted your papa, so you howled until it hurt to breathe. With all the rage your tiny body could hold, you screamed for someone to come and take your gift away and give you back your parents. Your uncle held you until your sobs turned to hiccups. As your tears dried, he began to tell you a story. I was once a child like you. Alright, what are we gonna do here? A little girl, a little boy, another boy or a girl. Called a girl birth. So this is the transgender thing, which is pretty cool. We'll just go with maybe a little girl here. Whenever he told you stories, he had a way of hypnotizing you with his slow, steady cadence. There were many gods back then, with many gifts to offer. They gave this little girl the greatest gift of all, visions from the future. Through those gifts, her people became prosperous, and the girl was loved by all. But the girl wasn't happy. When the other children played, the girl could not play. When they worked in the fields, the girl was kept aside, or inside. Everyone knew a gift from the gods could not be wasted, so the villagers kept her perfectly safe. When the girl grew older, she fought against her fate. She railed against the gods and begged them to take her visions away. She would rather have been blind than see the future, because for her the future only held endless confinement, endless loneliness. Your uncle looked down at you then. What do you think happened next? The gods made it all better? Probably not. Nothing, the gods weren't real. Probably. Did her mother and Papa make her feel better? The gods made her go blind? Maybe this one, because she was ungrateful, you know. No, but it's fair enough. You can see where she's coming. So you see her error. But these gods were more clever and cruel than that. Instead, they turned the girl's visions from truth to lies. The harvest was ruined because she predicted sun instead of rain. Many of her people starved when the boars failed to return to the woods as she had promised. By spring, no one believed her visions any longer, but it was too late. Enemies came in great numbers. The girl's people were too weak to fight. The conquerors did not kill the young prophet, however. They had heard tales of her visions. They told her she would live if she could predict one thing that was true. That night she prayed to the gods for her old visions to return, but the first prediction she made was false. The conquerors plucked out the girl's eyes so she could see the future more clearly. Oh, no. The girl tried to twist the second vision into something true, but it too was false. They cut out her tongue to teach her not to tell lies. When she wrote down the third vision, and it too came to naught, well, that may be too dark of a tale for you tonight, but I'm sure you can picture what happened next. Begged him to tell me the girl was saved, but he wouldn't. Oh yes, I pictured it. Expect the same question for me. Told him that foolish children always die. I asked why the girl didn't predict what would happen. Well, clearly because the gods removed her real visions, right? Alright, let's go with this one, because the other ones are a bit iffy. You must have known that the prophet's hands were cut off. She was probably killed, but you didn't want to believe it. Not that you could help it. Once you were alone in bed, the thoughts crept up in your head. You were too wrung out to cry by then, so there was no way to escape the image. A prophet with no eyes to see, no tongues to speak, and no hands to mend, still tormented by visions that would never come true. You wondered if she died like Papa, hanging, or like Mother, locked in a room so everyone could pretend you didn't hear her pain. Your uncle was not a cruel man. When you woke screaming that night, he sat with you. He petted your hair like Mother once did, soothing you back to sleep. You were drifting into a fractured dream when a voice cut through the haze. It sounded like your uncle, but the words were not his. Do not worry, child, he said. Your mother's brother cannot rid you of me. I guess it's the father here. You woke to see something dark flickering behind your uncle's eyes, and you felt a cold certainty that he wasn't the one looking out. I'm no simple spirit to be banished. No, I have traveled with your family a long time. I watched over your grandfather, I watched over your mother and your brother, and her brother, and now I watch over you. Maybe I'll cut the British accent. Your uncle's hand brushed your forehead, but the touch was not his. His fingers were like ice where they rested. One day I will climb into this pretty little head, and then I will watch over your children. That is your gift, after all. That's a bit creepy. He smiled wide, wider than any shape you thought his mouth could make. Remember, he said with blackened eyes, you must embrace the gifts. Oh, I don't like that. Alright, next chapter. How far along are we? I have no idea. We'll read through a few more pages. So, chapter 1, that was the prologue. A humble journey. It's been years since you last saw that spirit, if that's what it was. Now the gas lamps flare to life nightly outside your rooms in London. You still watch them when you can't sleep, wondering whether it was real or a dream. You try to tell yourself that you made it up, but you've never found that argument convincing. You have nothing but time to consider the issue at the moment. After 3 days on the road, you've run out of things to discuss with Devenant, your assistant. Oh, I have an assistant. Fantastic. If only you could have traveled by rail, but your destination lies miles from any modern mode of transport. You've been listening to the rain for several hours. It flows down the window of your carriage in sheets and drums against the roof in an unsteady rhythm. It almost keeps time with the rumble below. The storm outside has recently taken a sharp turn for the worse. The carriage pitches and sways with every bump and corner. And Dev clutches the edge of the bench with a white knuckle grip. He managed to weather the stench of the Thames all summer without falling ill. But once again, the road has bested him. You asked him once how he survived this journey from India, and he reminded you that ships and coaches have very little in common. that and he was 3 years old at the time. His new book, some adventure novel by that French fantasist Verne, oh yeah, Jules Verne, sits unread next to him. He looks at it with longing for a moment, then swallows roughly and stares at the grey haze outside. The other passenger eyes him with concern. You have to hope that he'll manage to keep himself together once you reach Wyford? Okay. You believe your uncle, Joseph Kent, the man who raised you, disappeared in that town. If that theory proves true, you'll both need to be in top form. Kent has been investigating the cult for decades when he vanished. You and Dev have been in the business for a fraction of that time, so I guess we're detectives or something? If he's too sick to work, you'll be on your own, and that may leave you in serious trouble. I discreetly pass him an elixir to settle his stomach. Okay. Perhaps I can lighten the mood and cheer him up? Is that really gonna help? It's a touch inappropriate, but massaging his wrist may help. No. I feel like this... No. We don't want to go down like a romance route. I don't think. This playthrough. As an employer, I expect him to be better. Expect better than this from him. Well, he can't help it, right? If he's sick, he's sick. This is romance. This is just being an asshole. Light the moon. No, that won't help. I think the elixir is the good option here. You always carry a few simple remedies with you. You never know when they might come in handy. The one you find for Dev is a surefire cure. Ginger, oil of peppermint, and just the lightest hint of opium. All suspended in magnesia. Opium, holy shit. It has a rather strong odor when he pops the vial open, but he gulps it down quietly. The other passenger doesn't look particularly calm either. The young woman has been rather quiet since she climbed aboard 2 towns back. Quiet is welcome. The etiquette of travel is tiresome, but you can't help but wonder if you've done something to offend her. She notes your appraising glance with a tight-lipped smile, then turns her attention back to the crimson beads of her rosary. Is this the one? To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs. That's, yeah, that was pretty bad. Her voice barely rises above the sound of the rain, but you've heard the words before. Mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. The rest is lost beneath a vicious crack from outside. The carriage sways sharply, and the whole world tilts. A valise tumbles from the upper compartment, spilling its contents across everyone's lap on its way down. Your umbrella rolls across the floor. Pain blooms when your head smacks into the wall. God damn it, you bite out in your startlement. And the other passenger is lifted from her bench. She stumbles forward and falls heavily against you. The carriage rocks to a stop. So, the young woman requires my assistance and my apologies. Well, it's not really your fault, is it? Dev needs my attention. If I can just extricate myself to the devil with both of them. Am I injured? Nah. This clumsy fool is fraying my last nerve. So, I guess we'll do this one. Your arm is pinned under her, but with care you can get it free and help her up to a crouch as you both hasten to apologize. Dev straightens himself out behind you. After a few moments of fussing with her skirts, the young woman settles back into her seat, proper as can be. She favors you with a timid smile, but then fades. My apologies, she says, addressing you directly for the first time. You seem to be bleeding. You gently prod the sore spot on your head. She appears to be correct. Your fingers come away bloodied. I should really check on that. This is nothing. I've had much worse. My head spins. The sight of blood. I need Dev's help. It's good excuses anyway. They're really pushing this romance part. I think I should check on that. You dig out your handkerchief and press it to your forehead. The contact hurts, but a minute or two like this should stop the bleeding. Once your minor injury is dealt with, the young woman clears her throat. She glances up at you, but her gaze quickly returns to the beads she twists in her hand. She twists in her hand. I'm so terribly sorry, miss. She leaves the last syllable. Oh, miss, I'm a woman. I had no idea. Alright, that's cool. I'm so terribly sorry, miss. She leaves the last syllable hanging, waiting for you to introduce yourself. What surname do you give her? I guess it's because I chose little girl. So, and the uncle was trying to tell us a story that would relate to us because we're a little girl. Yeah, okay. That's fine. What surname do you give her? Okay. Clark, Mackenzie, Suresh, Friedman, Leon, Markov. Allow me to spell it for you. Fuck. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Holy, this is always the worst part too. The playthroughs. Usually I cut this part out. Simple. That's simple. Sounds British too. All right. Turner, you say. Miss Fairchild. Holy shit. She gives you a friendly nod to go with the introduction. I'm terribly sorry for my carelessness. Of course, you replied politely. This is my assistant, Mr. Sikdar. Dev gives you a wan smile, still a bit green around the edges. Before you can get past the pleasantries, you're interrupted by a loud bang outside the carriage door, or against the carriage door. Everyone out, calls the coachman. Dev needs no further prodding. He's out the door in seconds. He's out the door the second it opens. Jesus Christ. Miss Fairchild follows. Once she gathers her skirts, you grope blindly under the bench, taking a moment to locate your umbrella before joining them. Your hand brushes fabric and you feel along its length until you clasp the familiar handle. As habit dictates, you rub your thumb along the inscription. Never unprepared, my dearest. Oh, this is my first name. Alice Turner? Sure. Okay. Never unprepared, my dearest Alice. You tug the umbrella free and climb out of the carriage. You've always wondered whether the inscription was a compliment or a commandment, but now the chance to be asked may be lost. So I guess it was given to me by the uncle, which is now missing. To be entirely honest, you doubt that you're prepared for whatever might happen in Wyford. There are too many unknown factors, and you've been able to find far too little information. You can't think on it too closely, lest your nerves fail you entirely. Nevertheless, you're on your way. You owe it to your Uncle Kent to give it your best. Alright, oh fuck. That sounded like the ending of the first chapter. I was so excited. I think we will end it here though, for now. So that was part 1 of Heart of the House. Thank you so much for watching. These should be uploaded regularly, I hope. I'm going to try to get on that. Aside from that, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed again. If you did, leave a like and let me know in the comments. Perfect. I'll leave a link to this game, the link to the Steam page that I bought this on, down in the description. Other than that, thanks so much for watching again. I'll see you next time. Bye!